Ah, the lovely Rose Quartz. Tragic lost love, turned problematic dead mother, turned interstellar rebel, turned tiny pink despot throughout the course of the show. When it was revealed that Rose was Pink Diamond the entire time, the fan base was more conflicted than ever about whether this tragic figure was such a good character after all, especially considering the impact her choice to give up her own life for Steven's has had on her nearest and dearest, Steven included. The main series and its spin-off really focus heavily on just how much trauma poor Steven has gone through, trauma he would not have faced were it not for his mother leaving all of her baggage to him. So why did Rose choose to sacrifice herself to make Steven? Is there a defense of her character there? Let's look at some reasons.
I'm going to become half of you.
Rose was truly taken with the idea of organic life, just as a concept. And practically, Steven needed Rose's gem in order to survive as his own sovereign human-gem hybrid, the first of his kind. Though why Rose chose to create life in this specific way is unclear. If Rose can create a fully fledged half-human, half-gem, you could argue that she could have just created a human and continued to exist, but perhaps even as a diamond there was some essence of human life that she would have been missing, just like when Steven is trying to revive the corrupted and shattered gems and needs the essence of the other diamonds. That's just conjecture though.
Did you make me just so you wouldn't have to deal with all your mistakes?
Subconsciously, perhaps she also wanted to get away from her problems. I really don't think it's right to call her a villain in the same way your Jafars and Toffees are villains, because she doesn't do this out of malice. I think she leaves Steven, the crystal gems, Greg, and the diamonds with all of this baggage out of pure negligence. I'll talk more about her nature as a diamond in just a second, but Pink Diamond specifically, being the youngest diamond, has been frequently shown to be the most immature. Rose is a starry-eyed idealist with little regard for consequence at her best, and at her worst, she causes untold damage. We don't see much of her interpersonal relationships compared to the other main cast characters, but from what we see of her talking to Greg especially, she seems truly detached. Unintended consequences of her behavior and choices just don't seem to register unless painstakingly spelled out. This makes her relationship with Greg difficult.
I'm not a real person.
And lastly, Rose is also a diamond, one of an alien ruler class who, as we've seen from her own comments and the other diamonds, simply cannot quite grasp what a human is, or what it is for someone to be her equal. The other crystal gems struggle with human behavior too, especially early in the series, but none so much as Rose. We see time and time again how what a gem is designed for influences their behavior for all time. This is even more obvious with the diamonds. Rose just doesn't understand what being a wife and mother is, and as this alien being and this starry-eyed idealist with no capacity to understand that, she's a terrible wife and mother. She lets Steven and her former crew inherit all of her problems, misdeeds and mistakes, just because of how in love she was with the idea of creating a sovereign earthen human life, more or less on a whim. And she didn't give it a second thought. She cherishes life, enough to bubble her broken and corrupted gem brethren on the battlefield, which is unusual for a diamond, and cherishes earthen life even more so, but she's in love at all these fellow creatures, not with. And while that is a lot closer than the other diamonds ever got, it's just not the same. And that makes sense for a diamond. Diamonds aren't designed to build peer-to-peer familial bonds, they're designed to rule. So diamond love from this youngest diamond, although unusual, is necessarily a bit hollow. Blue and yellow manage to bond in their own way, but they're the only diamonds on the same level as each other out of the four. The way I've talked about Rose in this video makes her sound like an antagonist, and maybe she is. But what I really like about the fact that you can consider her an antagonist is that it feels real when it comes to deceased loved ones who are idolized. You can imagine someone feeling as overshadowed, conflicted, and lost as Steven does throughout the series when it comes to how to view his mother, especially as he learns more about her. She isn't an angel. She chose to do something that ended up leaving him with all of her unfinished business, and her voluntary absence has left all of Steven's nearest and dearest, all of those he loves, in lasting grief. Her legacy is crushing. So why did Rose choose to sacrifice herself? She liked the idea of making a life, and decided that was worth more to her than what her loss would do to those who knew her. Whether you view Rose as a villain or not largely depends on whether you think that was the right call. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and do check out the rest of my channel for more on Western animation. See you next time!